What is up, Frag fam? Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. So it is Monday again, which means it is time for the weekly fragrance haul, and we have finally broken into the double digits for this little series. This is episode 10, and we have a decent sized haul this week. I picked up 10 fragrances. Now, not the biggest one that we've had, especially recently, but this is actually the haul that I've been the most excited for in a long time. So if you want to find out why I was excited to pick these fragrances up in particular, then please stick around. But first, let's roll that intro. Alright guys, welcome back from the intro, and like I already said, this is the weekly fragrance haul, episode 10, and this is the haul that I've probably been the most excited for in a while, probably even since I started doing this series. Again, not because this is the biggest, most expensive haul that I've had, but just because some of these fragrances I have sampled before and I really liked them a lot. I knew I needed full bottles, and I finally went ahead and picked them up, so I really want to talk to you guys about them. So let's jump into the first fragrance. Okay, so starting the video off with the first fragrance that I picked up within this haul. This is one that I have sampled previously, so this was not a blind buy. Actually, I've tried it locally here at Nordstrom a few times, and this is one that ever since I first smelled it, I absolutely loved it. Head over heels for this fragrance, and I knew I needed a full bottle. And then luckily I did find a very slightly used partial for a really discounted price, so I went ahead and scooped it up. In addition, this is coming from a house that I have been trying to get more into, so I'm really glad to have another addition to this fragrance house in my collection. This is coming from the house of Diptyque. As you guys can see, this is Volutes EDP Parfums. Man, this is so crazy good. I absolutely love this stuff. So this is a tobacco fragrance, and this actually has a very strong resemblance to a very popular fragrance from Serge Lutens called Fjord. I'm sure you guys know that fragrance, and even if you haven't smelled it, you at least know the name. That's kind of like the flagship fragrance for Serge Lutens. And this is actually pretty similar to that one, but I think this is better. This has the tobacco, this has the hay note, there's the honey in here, there is iris even. You get all of those notes in Fjord as well. But this one, to me, I do find it smoother. Fjord is really nice as well, and I might add that one to my collection eventually. But I did find from the time that I tried it that the hay stood out a little bit more. So it did have a little bit more of kind of this earthy, grassy feel to it. You still get that here, but it's definitely more in the background. You get mostly that kind of sweet pipe tobacco, that syrupy, like kind of silky honey. You do get that iris here. It's not a super prominent and like waxy iris. I think it's a little bit more powdery and honestly kind of more on that fresh side, but I think it really adds a very nice quality to this fragrance. Like I said, if you guys like Fjord, but maybe you're looking for something that's a little bit more sweet and just a little bit smoother, less on that like kind of earthy side, definitely check this one out. Not the most popular fragrance from this house, but I think this thing is fantastic. Really glad to have this one finally in my collection. And that was the first fragrance that I picked up this week. So again, coming from Diptyque, this is Volutes. Okay, so moving on to the next fragrance that I picked up. This is another house similar to Diptyque that I've been trying to collect more bottles from. However, I'm not just trying to, throw random fragrances from this house into my collection. I am trying to get ones that I will thoroughly enjoy. And this one is pretty solid. Actually, a little bit more different than I was expecting, as this was a blind buy, but I still am glad to have this in my collection. So this is coming from the house of BDK Parfums, as you can see right there. And it's called Creme de Cuir, or Cream of Leather, I think is what it translates to. So yes, this is a leather fragrance, but this is the freshest leather that you'll ever smell. Sure, there's other fragrances that are quite fresh that use leather as a supportive note, but this is one that is based around leather, yet it still manages to be very light and almost soapy in a way. So you get a ton of fruits in this, especially from the top. There's pineapple, I think you get some mandarin orange in here, there's some other citruses, and you can definitely pick those up when you first spray it on. It is quite juicy, sweet, and zesty, but basically immediately you can faintly start picking up this leather, and I think like the strength of that leather kind of just gets turned up a notch as the fragrance dries down. So it does develop more and more, become a little bit stronger, and by the time it is in the far dry down, I would say that the leather is a lot more dominant. But in the beginning, I don't think the show is about the leather. You get all those citruses, you actually get a lot of musks in here as well, which are really easy to pick up on. It is quite fuzzy, like I said, kind of soapy, a little bit sharp even, but not in a bad way. It's just how it was kind of meant to be blended, I guess. But like I said, as this thing dries down, the leather really does kind of take the forefront, and it turns into a very nice, light, faintly creamy leather fragrance. If you're looking for a leather that you want to wear as a daily driver, a signature scent, I would point you to this one, because this is a leather fragrance that you can pull off in basically any weather, even the hot weather. I would think this would work in the cold weather as well though. So this seems like a very versatile leather fragrance overall. Does smell really nice, but I still have to get more familiar with it. And again, that is my second pickup coming from BDK Parfums. Again, this is called Creme de Cuir. Okay, so moving on to the next fragrance, and I realize I'm talking a little too much about each of these fragrances. This video is gonna be way too long, so I'm gonna try and speed it up a little bit. But this one has been on my to-buy list for about a year, ever since I first tried it. And I don't know why I put it off until now. You can find this super discounted, like sub $50. And for a niche fragrance, which this is, that's an insanely good price. This is coming from the house of Acqua di Parma. This is Mediterraneo Fico di Amalfi, and pretty simple. This fragrance is just a fig fragrance. I mean, there is more than that. You do get the fig, there is the fig tree, but you also get some nice citruses at the top supporting it. There is jasmine in here, even some cedar. So you do kind of get this green feel to it coming from that cedar as well as the fig tree. Quite fruity and juicy though. But basically what you're picking up here is that fig fruit, and extremely authentic. This really does smell natural. There is nothing synthetic to my nose. The performance is not the best that I've been able to tell so far from the sample sprays that I've done, but I still really enjoy the scent. And like I said, it is very, very cheap on the discounter, so I don't feel bad with getting like 4 hours out of this thing. I can just reapply, and that's what I'll be doing. So definitely excited to finally have this one in my collection. Great for the summertime. Again, coming from the house of Acqua di Parma, this is Fico di Amalfi. Okay, so the next fragrance I picked up is one of the main reasons why I was super excited for this week's haul. This is a fragrance that I've been wanting for a very, very long time, probably going on about a year now. Unfortunately, this house rarely gets discounted, and if it is, it's not by much, and it is a very expensive niche house. So I've been waiting for the right opportunity, for the right price to show up. Luckily, I found one, partially because this bottle does have a small defect, and that's the main reason why it was super discounted, but I don't really care about that. I will show you guys why. And in addition, this is actually my first fragrance from this house. So the house is Royal Crown, and then the fragrance is Celebration. And then the defect I was talking about is the jewel peg that's supposed to sit here in the middle is completely gone. It broke off, but I don't really care. The cap still works. This thing smells fantastic. This is perfect for the time of year we're in. This is a citrusy mint bomb. So you get a few citruses in here, but to my nose, the most notable is grapefruit. And I absolutely love grapefruit. It is my favorite fruity note. So I'm definitely like welcome. That's definitely welcome to me. There's also some mint in here, and actually a lot of it is a very strong mint. Basically, if you want to imagine how this smells, because it is quite natural, if you take a grapefruit, just slice it in half, a nice juicy ripe grapefruit, and then kind of smear that with some mint, that's basically what you're getting here. Icy, minty, a little bit sharp, but very juicy and citrusy as well. It smells absolutely fantastic. Really good performance for a freshie as well. I think I did a test spray and got about 8 hours, so I'm definitely happy with the performance on this. And again, the scent is phenomenal. Definitely want to recommend you guys check out, get a sample, because this stuff is too much just a blind buy. Don't do what I did. Definitely get a sample, but I think you guys will really enjoy this one a lot. So again, coming from the house of Royal Crown, this is my first fragrance from them. This is called Celebration. Okay, moving on to fragrance number 5, I believe here. This is one that I'll be honest, I haven't really been like looking for, and actually I found out about it pretty recently, but when I did, I was really intrigued. This is an aromatic fougere, but it actually kind of hints back at a discontinued one that is super popular, and that's definitely what got me intrigued. Luckily, I found a bottle for a really, really good price, so I jumped on it. This is coming from Bvlgari in the La Gem line. This is Malakeos, which you guys can see right there. So, like I said, this is like a aromatic fougere. I mean, it is an aromatic fougere. It's extremely creamy and soapy. There's nothing really super earthy or plant-like about it. This is, like I said, creamy, very soapy, a little bit spicy. There's a little bit of an icy feeling in a way. Just super pleasant. There's nothing like overly complex here as far as like this thing reinventing the wheel or doing something completely different or off the wall. This is just a fougere through and through, but the quality here is really high. And like I said, this definitely harkens back to a discontinued fragrance, which I will talk about in a later video when we do some fougere topics. So definitely one that I'm happy to have in my collection now. And again, this is coming from Bvlgari. This is Malakeos. Okay, so the next fragrances that I picked up, these were the ones that I mentioned earlier that were sent to me for review. And again, if you guys missed that, that was yesterday's video. Be sure to go check it out. This is a brand new niche perfume house that just popped up here in 2021. So we're gonna run through the 3 fragrances that they have really quick. The first one, if you guys can see the label, I know it's quite dark. This is called Ramad. And this is a pretty nice vetiver fragrance. Not my most favorite one that I've ever tried, but it is quite genuine smelling. This is more, I would say, of a brooding vetiver note. It is quite dark and almost smoky in a way. There's nothing really vibrant or citrusy about this, which vetiver does come across like that sometimes. There is a little bit of mastic in here. There actually are citruses as well, which you can faintly detect, but definitely it's like that vetiver that's in the forefront. Pretty dark and intense, but if you're after a really kind of bold vetiver fragrance, this is a really good one to check out. Pretty original smelling as well, but again, like I said, not my absolute favorite from the house that I tried. I'm still glad to have it. The next one, which this is my favorite from the fragrances they sent me, so this is coming again from Siaj. This is Fjord, and this is a really, wow, this is a very transportive fragrance. So this really takes you to somewhere else, in particular to an icy fjord, hence the name. So it is kind of icy and cooling in a way. You can almost get like this sea breeze, although there's really nothing salty about it. It is quite watery, but again, it's not salty. You can almost imagine this cool like gust of wind blowing across the ocean. You're kind of getting this just like mountain air smell. You're kind of getting this woody smell from all of the forests that are surrounding you. And it is quite icy because there is geranium in here as well. There is lavender. There are some woody notes and citruses as well as sea notes. So again, it's kind of aquatic without the saltiness. Very aromatic, icy, woody, just very refreshing, transportive, very unique as well. Definitely one that if I was to point you guys to one fragrance from the house to check out, this would be it. So I'm really glad I have this. And then the last one, which this is my second favorite currently, this is Regal Tobacco. And this is a really interesting take on a tobacco fragrance. Unlike most, this one is quite fresh and actually soapy, believe it or not. So this is a very light tobacco fragrance. You could almost wear this in the summer, honestly. There is a, I think, jasmine note in here. There is some musks, some citruses. There is vetiver again in this one as well. And then of course tobacco, but the tobacco here is quite green and leafy. It is a very vibrant and like I said, uplifting tobacco fragrance. So if you want something that is tobacco, but on the fresher side, definitely check this one out. And again, that was the last fragrance they sent me. Again, this is Regal Tobacco. Okay, so we are finally down to the last two fragrances for this haul, and these last two are another major reason on why I was super excited for this haul in particular. So of course, we are gonna start with the first one that I received of the two, and that is right here. This is coming from Kilian. This is Apple Brandy, and man, oh my gosh, man, am I so glad to finally have this. This I sampled last summer, so this is another fragrance that I've been waiting for a long time to get a bottle of. I've been waiting for the right deal because not only is this one expensive like all Kilians, but this is in a higher price tier or echelon. This one retails for $320 as opposed to $240 like most of their other fragrances. So when you find this discounted, you're still paying like $270, maybe $280. Luckily, I found a guy that was selling this on Facebook for a really good deal. He was asking a very generous price and I had to jump on it. It is a little bit used, but most of it is still here. And this might be my new favorite Kilian. Like I said, I've tried it in the past, but I wasn't super familiar with it. Now that I've had it for a little bit and been able to wear it a few times, like just do test sprays, I mean, I can definitely say that this is super, super pleasant, very realistic. It is quite boozy, but not in like a harsh way. There's nothing super sharp about this. It is a very deep, rich, woody brandy that is quite sweet. You can definitely pick up on the apple. Although intriguingly enough, there's no fruity notes in the note breakdown. They're coming up with some kind of accord here to get you kind of that apple like feeling. And basically how this is, it's like a boozy apple pie because you get the apple, it is sweet, it is spicy, but there is a very prominent, like I said, booziness as well. There's even kind of like an oak barrel accord going on here. It is quite woody. So this is just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Really glad to finally have this one in my collection. And again, that's another Kilian to add to it. So again, from Kilian, this is Apple Brandy. Okay, so we are finally on to the last fragrance, and this is one that I've actually owned previously. I had a travel atomizer from the brand, but I knew that that was not enough juice for me. I like this stuff so much. I knew I needed the full bottle, so I went ahead and finally picked it up. This is coming from Parfums. This is Oligarch. So you guys know about this one because I've talked about it multiple times on this channel. This is an excellent fruity chypre, quite modern smelling, unlike other chypres that can be, you know, kind of dated smelling, old school. This one is extremely modern, but you still get all of those components. It is very vibrant and citrusy, very, very citrusy. There are some woody notes to this. It is quite mossy and a little bit earthy in the base. There's lavender in here as well, so it is a little bit aromatic. There's a very nice sweet touch to this fragrance as well, which really kind of offsets the bitter dry side that this fragrance brings. This could potentially be my new favorite fragrance from the house. I have been saying this for a long time. Creation E is my favorite, and I think it still is as of this point, but I really am enjoying this stuff more and more, and it's such an easy fragrance to wear. This can be a signature scent, and that's why I'm really digging it so much. I can pull this out whenever, and like I said, this could be the new favorite here coming up soon. So a fantastic fragrance from Raja Parfums. Again, this is Oligarch. Well, there you guys go. That was my weekly fragrance haul, episode 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would really appreciate if you could drop a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos on YouTube. Additionally, if you want to write a comment, maybe just letting me know your thoughts, as well as some new video ideas or topics, that would be great too. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you've not already, if you could hit the subscribe button and then the bell notification, that would be amazing. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.